Welcome to our channel. Today, we're back with a brand new topic just for you. Before we start the podcast, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into the Ruby programming language.
Right, and our main source here is Code Talk, exploring the Ruby programming language.
And the big idea with Ruby, the thing that makes it stand out, is this focus on developer happiness, making coding actually enjoyable.
Which sounds great, right? Especially if you want to get up to speed on something quickly, but, properly understand it.
Exactly. So this deep dive is all about figuring out what makes Ruby special without getting totally lost in the weeds.
And it all started back in the mid-90s, didn't it? With Yukihiro Matsumoto, or Mats, in Japan.
Yeah, in 1995, the internet was, different then. And Mats had this specific vision. Our source really highlights this.
He wasn't just aiming to create another language. He wanted something intuitive, something pleasant to use.
Right. He apparently looked at languages like Perl, for getting stuff done quickly, and Lisp for its elegance.
And Smalltalk, too, for its pure object orientation. He wanted to sort of cherry-pick the best parts.
And blend them into something that just felt good to write code in.
So that whole philosophy right from the start was about simplicity, productivity, making the code flow naturally.
Yeah, speed up development, basically. Less friction between the idea and the working code.
So what defines Ruby, then, if we break it down?
Well, the source calls it dynamic, interpreted, and object-oriented, a scripting language.
Okay, let's unpack that. Dynamic and interpreted mean it's flexible, runs line by line, more or less, no rigid compile step like C++ Plo.
And object-oriented is key, like really key. The book stresses that in Ruby, absolutely everything is an object. Numbers, true, false, even classes themselves.
That's quite a fundamental concept. It influences how everything works.
Definitely. And it leads into this idea of duck typing.
Ah, yeah, the classic, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck.
Then it is a duck, exactly. Ruby doesn't care so much about what an object is declared as, but what it can do. Does it have the right methods?
So it checks for behavior, not for explicit type inheritance necessarily. Very flexible.
Super flexible. And then there's metaprogramming.
Ooh, that sounds fancy.
It does. But the core idea, according to the source, is that Ruby programs can actually write or change other code, even themselves, while they're running.
Right, code that writes code. Which sounds a bit mind-bending, but it's incredibly powerful in practice.
Yeah, it's what allows some frameworks, like Rails, to do so much with seemingly little code, automating boilerplate stuff.
It enables a lot of that magic you sometimes hear about, and we should also mention the syntax itself.
Oh, absolutely. The source uses the word elegant, and I think that fits. It's designed to read almost like natural English.
Which goes right back to Mats's goal, doesn't it? Making developers happy. Readable code is usually easier to work with.
And easier to maintain, easier for teams to collaborate on, easier for new people to pick up. It's a practical benefit, not just aesthetics.
Definitely. So, okay, let's talk advantages. Why pick Ruby?
Well, number one is that developer happiness thing we keep mentioning. The source makes it clear it's not just marketing fluff. The language is designed to be pleasant.
It tries to stay out of your way, let you focus on the problem.
Yeah. And that readability pays off in productivity. Less time deciphering code, more time building.
Which leads right into the next big point. Frameworks. Specifically, Ruby on Rails.
Ah, Rails. Huge impact. The book emphasizes its convention over configuration idea.
Can you unpack that a bit? What does that mean in practice?
It means Rails comes with sensible defaults and established patterns for how web apps are typically built. So instead of deciding every little thing yourself,
You follow the Rails way, the conventions, and a lot of the setup and structure is just handled for you. Massively speeds things up.
right, you configure less, you build more. Especially useful for getting complex web apps off the ground quickly.
And Rails itself uses a lot of that metaprogramming we mentioned to achieve its conciseness and power.
Good point. It leverages Ruby's flexibility. Then there's the whole ecosystem of gems. Thousands of them, right?
Libraries or packages.
Exactly. Pre-written code for almost anything you can think of. Web stuff, testing tools, database connectors, APIs,
Yeah.
you name it.
Like a massive box of Lego bricks ready to use.
Pretty much. Which makes Ruby fantastic for rapid prototyping. Startups love it for that reason. Get an idea built fast, iterate quickly.
Yeah, that speed to market can be absolutely crucial in the startup world, getting a minimum viable product out there.
Okay, but it can't all be sunshine and rainbows. The book does cover the downsides too.
Fair enough. No language is perfect for everything. What are the main points?
Performance is often brought up. Ruby being interpreted generally isn't as fast as compiled languages like C++ or Go.
Right. If you're building something that needs absolutely massive scale or incredibly low latency, that raw speed difference might matter.
It's a trade-off, isn't it? Developer productivity versus runtime speed.
Often, yeah. For many, many web apps, Ruby's speed is perfectly fine, but for, say, high-frequency trading or hardcore scientific computing, maybe not the first choice.
Then there's concurrency, handling multiple things at once.
Ah, the GIL, the Global Interpreter Lock.
Yeah, the GIL can limit true parallel execution of Ruby threads on multi-core processors, though the source mentions workarounds exist and things are improving.
Mm-hmm. And what about popularity? Is it still growing?
Well, the book notes its growth isn't maybe as explosive as JavaScript or Python have seen recently, but it's still very much alive and strong in its niches.
Okay, so maybe not the top trending language, but still a solid, established player.
Exactly. And one last point, dynamic typing. That flexibility we praised earlier,
There's a flip side.
sometimes.
Hmm.
Because you don't explicitly declare variable types. Some errors, type errors, for instance, might only surface when you actually run the code, not during a compile step.
Right, runtime errors instead of compile time errors.
Yeah.
Requires good testing practices.
Definitely. But it's worth noting, as the source points out, the Ruby community is actively working on these things.
Like Ruby 3, didn't that focus on performance and concurrency improvements?
Yeah, exactly. Things like JIT just-in-time compilation aiming to boost speed and improvements to concurrency models. It shows the language isn't standing still.
So the future outlook is still pretty positive then.
Seems so, based on our source.
Huh.
Active maintenance, ongoing improvements, it's still a major force in web development with Rails, very popular for startups.
And maybe finding new roles too. Automation, back-end services?
Yeah, DevOps tools even. Chef is a big example written in Ruby. Its nice syntax works well for scripting and configuration.
So it remains relevant, it's carved out its space and continues to evolve.
Okay, so summing up, who is Ruby really for?
The book paints a clear picture. Beginners definitely seem to benefit. It's often cited as a good first language because it's expressive and less intimidating.
Makes sense. And obviously web developers, especially those interested in rapid development using Rails.
Absolutely. Also, programmers who just enjoy that dynamic, purely object-oriented way of thinking, exploring different programming paradigms.
And teams that prioritize getting prototypes built quickly and iterating based on feedback. That speed factor again.
So it really hits that sweet spot of developer experience and efficient delivery for certain kinds of projects.
Right. So key takeaways from our deep dive. Ruby is all about developer joy, powered by elegant syntax and features like metaprogramming. Rails is a game changer for web dev.
And while it has performance and concurrency considerations, it's actively evolving and remains a really valuable tool in the toolbox.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. When you're choosing a language, how do you balance that developer happiness, that speed of development?
Against maybe raw performance needs or the specific concurrency model. It's an interesting trade-off to consider for your own projects or learning path.
Maybe dig into the Ruby ecosystem more, or perhaps compare its philosophy directly with something like Python, JavaScript, or even Go or Scala to see where it fits for you.